Hello there, everyone. Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. I'm trying to keep my microphone kind of out of my way and out of my face. Hi, 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 hi. Happy Sunday. Happy, joy Sunday. We're going to talk today about creating peace out of chaos, and I'm going to focus in on the principle of cause and effect. I'm going to focus in on how my recent car accident potentially saved my life, and kind of unpacking how all of this has happened and occurred up until now. So I want to say hello to X and hello to Instagram. Facebook seems to be acting up. So sorry, Facebook. But hello to YouTube. Hello to everybody. I'm going to play the intro and you guys let everybody know that we're here, okay? Here. As soon as I can find. Welcome back. Welcome back. And we're going to have a very deep discussion today about the law of causation. Okay. So, the law, the principle of causation. Now, some of you guys may remember a while ago I taught on the seven hermetic principles, and one of which is the principle of cause and effect, or the law of causation. And let me just remind you of what that the principle or law of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Cause is but a name for law, not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. The Kabbalion. So, the law of cause and effect basically says that everything that we do, right? Everything that we do creates something else, right? For every cause, there is an effect. Now, I'm going to put this QR code, oh, it's over here in this corner. At any time, if you guys may know from the descriptions or whatever, that I do chat with those of you that wish to create businesses, coaching businesses, transformational businesses of any kind where you really want to affect someone else's life in a positive way and a lot of people's lives. So you can go to this QR code and book a free, you scan it, book a free consultation with me, 30 minutes, or there are links in the description, definitely on YouTube, for sure. Or yeah, do that. I'll put the link down in there. Anyway, let's start talking about cause and effect. I'm going to read that again. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing happens, nothing escapes the law. So I want to talk a little. I talked last week a little bit about this car accident, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about why I feel very strongly that the car accident really, in essence, saved my life. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm going to share something with you guys that I want you guys to see. So, you guys may know or may realize or recognize or may remember that last week, Saturday in the afternoon, um, I think I told you guys that I was in a car accident. And so there was a car northbound, I think, if I can find my my police report. Anyway, the car I think was, oh, here it is. The car was northbound. I have the police report. Okay. Um, Vehicle one, which was the other person, was traveling north on Federal Place here in Greensboro and came to a stop at a stop sign located at the intersection of Federal Place and West McGee Street. I was coming up. Vehicle two was traveling west on West McGee Street through the intersection of West McGee and Federal Place. Vehicle one failed to yield the right of way and entered the intersection as vehicle two, which was me, was entering the intersection and caused a crash. No injuries were reported. At that time, I was, everything's running, right? Like adrenaline is going and it's just crazy. And then we both of us moved the vehicles out of the way prior to the police coming. So later on that evening, after the adrenaline stopped pumping through my veins, I had my daughter take me to the ER. And in the ER, because I was having back pain and whatnot, right? So in the ER, I ended up getting some x-rays, right? They wanted to be sure of what was going on with my back. And I want to show you guys, let me blow this up just a little bit. I want to show you guys what the results of that were really quick. As I'm not, to show you, I'm not being hyperbolic here. Here you go. So this is the x-ray of the lumbar and spine, right? Whatnot. I don't know if the date is on here, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, here we go. On 8/3/2024 in the evening, no evidence of acute lumbar spine fracture. Well, that's good. There is mild anterolisthesis at L4 to L5. Invertebral disc spaces are maintained. So I found out what this is. It's kind of like potentially like arthritis in my spine, which I was like, okay, well, whatever. And this facet arthropathy, that's arthropathy. That's the arthritis is noted in the mid to lower lumbar spine. There is atherosclerotic calcification of the aorta. So I want to show you what that is. So we're just going to stop this one, remove this, and then we're going to go here and I'm going to share my screen again, right? So we're going to share my screen again and I'm going to show you what we're doing here. And I'm just going to go, what is, and I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see what this is. Atherosclerotic calcification of the aorta is a buildup of plaque in the aorta, which can reduce the aorta's wall's elasticity. Plaque is the buildup of fats, cholesterol, and other substances that can narrow the arteries and block blood flow, right? It can also burst into blood clots, which can cause strokes and or heart attacks. Atherosclerosis of the aorta is the gradual buildup of plaque in your aorta. It's a common condition that happens silently over many years. You may not have symptoms until the disease leads to a medical emergency. These include heart attack, stroke, or sudden loss of blood flow to your organs and tissues. Can you guys hear me okay? If you can you please drop a heart in the chat? I want you guys to know the doctors never came After we got everything done, the doctors never came to tell me this is what was going on. I did not hear this from them. I had to go to my chart, log in, and I was scheduling another appointment. That's all I was doing. Scheduling a follow up for this week because I'm still off and on having a little pain. And I said, yeah, let's go get it checked out. And then something had been saying this a couple times because I've logged in a couple times. Girl, go read your X-ray results. Go read your X-ray results. And so I read my X-ray results. And that's what I found out from my X-ray results was that they could see plaque buildup in my aorta, calcification. Nobody told me that. That's why they say heart disease, especially in women. Well, heart disease, period. But heart disease is the silent killer. Now, I've had high blood pressure issues and whatnot, and so on and so forth. And now I'm going to get back to the cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. And I could have even gone back to the fifth principle, which is the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Everything is intertwined. Why am I so fixated on this today? Because I want you all to understand something. I'm going to take this law of causation and I'm going to keep going backwards. Had I never had the accident, I would have never been visited the ER. Had my kids not been on my arse the whole night while I'm talking to them, you need to go and get checked out just in case. I never would have gone. Had I not been in the ER, I wouldn't have gotten the x-ray. Had I not gotten the x-ray, I wouldn't have known about this situation that is completely reversible because I feel like we've caught it relatively early enough, right? But it has to be pretty significant, I think, in order to be seen on an x-ray. And maybe the medical people in my chat will be able to tell me this. But so that's just a minor part of this causation. Let's go backwards. That Saturday, last week Saturday, it was off and on raining. We had that tropical storm Debbie coming through here, the beginnings at least. It was weird. We were starting to get rain off and on, thunderstorms. And what am I out doing? I'm out running around, out and about, just having a good old time. Going to this metaphysical shop and going to the African store and then going to this metaphysical shop and going over here. Like I'm bopping around Greensboro, girl outside. I almost did not go to that metaphysical shop downtown Greensboro called Terra Blue. Shout out to Terra Blue. I almost didn't go there. Why? Because I could see in the distance the lightning in the distance, and I could see as I'm looking towards downtown Greensboro, I could see on the horizon, oh wow, the storm is going to be there. It's about to be there. Right? It's about to be there. But I went anyway. Why? Because I was already out and about, and I'm like, they have what I need, right? They have a wide selection of different herbs and incenses and things. And I was like, you know what? Let me just go restock. Had I not gone down there, and let's okay, now we're going to continue. Had I not then decided to park in the parking lot, the public parking lot that I did, and it started raining, and then there was a gentleman with a newborn child, and he must have taken the baby back to the car to change the child's diapers. There's a local like theater, like regular theater stage, and he took his newborn daughter over there to change her diaper and whatnot. But he didn't have an umbrella, so she was getting caught in the rain. So I rushed across the street and put him and the baby underneath the umbrella and walked him all the way back down there. It was next door to where I was going. And then I walked back. And so then I'm tootling around in here, and they've rearranged everything, and it's beautiful what they've done, the interior, the redecoration, the remodeling. And so I'm just kind of tootling around. It took me way longer in there than I anticipated. I'm buying a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Met some new people while I was down there, chit chat, chit chat. The young lady that checks me out smudges my bag on the inside. I had never seen them do that before. I thought that was kind of cool. Now, I've already been outside all day. I've been outside for hours. I think I stopped back home to go to the bathroom because I didn't want to go to the bathroom out in public. And you can get everywhere from everywhere here in Greensboro in about 10, 15 minutes. So here, I didn't have to go to Terra Blues on Saturday the 3rd. I could have gone on Sunday the 4th. But I chose to go that day, causation and effect. So the causation, right? The cause, one of the things, my choice to go down to Terra Blue, flowing in this rhythm, then I left as soon as once the rain had kind of stopped and I had a bit of a break. That's why I piddled around in the store so long and ended up spending so much money. So that I could get over to my car without having to deal with, it was still raining a little bit, but I was like, I'll be able to get home now. Because I don't necessarily like driving in the rain, especially not on the highway. I'd have to go on the highway, but that's not the point. So had I not piddled around in there, I would not have entered my car at the time that I did. I wouldn't have taken so long to get out from here to there, and then I wouldn't have crossed that intersection when I did, and the man wouldn't have then entered the intersection when he did, and then the accident happened, and then I go to the ER, and then I found out I have blockage in my artery, my aorta. So I can go backwards and backward. So literally my choices, and I'm not saying I was at fault. Anybody that's watching here online, okay, so any of you all insurance companies that is watching right now, because we haven't finished settling, Lyft. I'm not saying I was at fault. I'm saying that certain things energetically have causation. So had I not been in this particular spot, in this particular moment, at this particular time, there wouldn't have been mass chaos in my life, aka a car accident. And then that mass chaos then leads to hospital, leads to x-ray, leads to discovering I have calcification of my aorta. Yeah. Absolutely, Jasmine. Absolutely. Now I'm going to go back a little bit further. A year ago, September the 7th is when I moved here from my home that I purchased, that my son and daughter in love and grandchildren are living in back in Wisconsin. A year ago, September 7th, I moved here. Why did I move here a year ago, September 7th? Well, I knew I wanted to get out of Wisconsin. I was tired of the winters, and I was looking at either New Orleans or at Greensboro because my daughter is right here. And I got a number of readings, and I got a number of just, different, and everything really pointed, even though I wanted to move to New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I love New Orleans. Love, love, love. everything, all the readings, all the intuitive guidance, everything pointed to coming here because the business would flourish. And not only would my business flourish, but I would flourish. And then in my heart of hearts, this was a fabulous opportunity to create a very close connection with my oldest daughter that I had not been able to do so. I've talked about this to some of you all before, and I'm thrilled and so like that over this past year, we've gotten so close. And I'm thrilled. Like I can't even tell you how happy it makes me to have been able to do this when she was younger, so that she didn't have to go through until late 40s like I did before I really got close to my own mother as an adult woman. Anyway, that's a huge amount of chaos. Moving across country from the middle of Wisconsin all the way to Greensboro. Now, granted, it was just me and the two kitties, but guys, it's like we drove, right? We drove the U-Haul, and well, I got a U-Haul driver, but yeah, I had to get a new bed. I had to, because I wasn't moving that bed. Are you kidding me? No, we're ordering and have it delivered here. Furniture delivered here. Some of it I took, some of the stuff that. So I created this chaos, and listen, it hasn't been easy peasy lemon squeezy the entire time. This has been a literal complete rebuilding, finding myself, realignment of my energy, like getting rid of, like really finally cutting certain energies and relationships that were not good for me, that were in Wisconsin, romantic and otherwise, like finally cutting that cord, finally getting rid of that. That's a lot. Grieving the loss of the closeness of the relationship that I had with my well, I mean, we're still close, but it's not the same, right? I've moved away from my grandchildren, my son, my youngest daughter, my daughter in heart and love, my home, everything that I've ever known, like the Midwest, you know what I mean? That was a lot. There was a lot of chaos. A lot of chaos. But in each step, I found peace as a result of that. Because remember, every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. So, my level of independence and autonomy, my level of releasing the rest of that imposter syndrome, or the vast majority of it, my level of finally saying, you know what, I actually deserve a fabulous relationship. I'm not doomed to being single for the rest of my life. The effect of, like, you know what, let's get outside. Let's start going back to the beauty shop. Let's start doing these things again that we just haven't done forever. And enjoying my adult life. Everything happens according to law. It was law that I move here. It was law that I get into spirituality and metaphysics. It was law that I do these things. But it looked like chance until it came to fruition. So had I not moved, we're going to take this all the way back. Ooh. Had I not moved a year ago from Wisconsin, I would not have been going to these metaphysical shops and other shopping and other errands last week Saturday in the afternoon, dodging thunderstorms. I would not have been downtown. I would not have then been in that intersection at Federal Place in McGee. I would not have had the accident. I would not have gone to ER. I would not have then ended up finding out about calcification in the aorta. And if I'm going to push forward, then you know what that did for me at that moment? When I found that out, I'm like, woof. Well, that's another reason why I bought that TikTok stepper that's in that other room. And I started saying, okay, you know what? Maybe it's time for you to really like take a serious look at going at least pescatarian, if not vegan, and definitely alkaline. Maybe it's time for you to get actually serious about getting off your tushy and actually getting some exercise every day. Maybe it's time for you to start taking specific supplements that you've been knowing you think you need to take. Let me check into the rest of the heart healthy stuff, because these people were not going to, and I'm not blaming the medical industry, right? I'm not blaming them. But I'm like, if this was a possibility, why wasn't I told this years ago? Not only that, there's natural and holistic ways to take care of your heart. There's supplements, there's all kinds of things that can actually assist you in weight loss, and then assist you in reversing this damage to the vessels, or the calcification or the buildup in the vessels. And they don't have to be statins that are taken, that are pharmaceuticals. My point is this, is that what happens sometimes, what feels like when we create chaos in our lives, weird things happen, right? You're like, why the heck did this happen? Or why the heck did that happen? Or how did I end up here? What ends up, that chaos, if you can look at that chaos and then see the resultant peace, if you can look at that chaos and say, what other things did this put into play? What set of dominoes did this kick off? You can learn to manipulate or manage the chaos in a way that it ends up causing peace, that it ends up creating peace. We say that nothing in the world is constant except change, and yet change is the very thing we don't like to happen. We don't really like it when people move our cheese. There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese, or Don't Move My Cheese, something like that. We don't like it when change happens. We don't like it. From children on, I don't know when we lose that, but I feel like it's somewhere in the 9-10 range, somewhere in there, 8-9-10. We are always seeking stability, and we want groundedness, but things change even in the ground and even in nature, right? Things evolve, things grow, things bloom, they die, right? Their change is always, it's always occurring. Everything is always in motion, and yet that's the one thing most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, fight. What I'm saying is, if you just kind of go with the change and flow with it, but from a grounded perspective of neutrality, from a grounded perspective of peace, right? I talked about this last week, how even in the midst of this whole thing, I was not angry. I did not yell and scream. I did not, even in the midst of all the chaos, there was a peace that just was there, and a steadiness, because I knew, well, first of all, it wasn't going to do any good to like lose it. But second of all, we're here. Everybody's alive. The cars are, nobody's really massively injured. The cars are, well, they can get fixed. Can't replace a life. Right? So I knew that. And that's how I operate now in a level of peace. And I just knew there are very various other things, right? That when I look at the resultant of this accident, there are positive things that are going to happen as a result of it. One of which is my getting healthy. And there's other things. You have to look at the change and the chaos, even if it hurts in the moment, even if it's uncomfortable in the moment, and say, wait a minute, what effect, what other positive effect, what did this avert? Because sometimes we go through a bit of chaos in a moment, and then we realize we averted a major issue later on. What did this avert? Embrace the chaos in the moment, even when it's uncomfortable. You know, I am watching different things. Like I'm watching a lot of law stuff, and I'm watching this, I'm watching that, watching a lot of stuff. Yeah, and I'm watching some things that are happening on YouTube with some of my one of my very dear friends, and like the commentary about it, and I've seen the chaos that he went and the pain that he went through, and on a very public in a very public way. And then I'm watching, but because I know him, I'm also watching how he is now. And I've watched his evolution for we've known each other, been friends for years now. Something good, if you mean well and you don't mean anyone harm, good will always come out of something, even the pain. Because it is painful. Childbirth is painful. Growth is, you have growing pains. There is this stretching and this and this and this that comes from change, that comes from chaos, that comes from other people's maliciousness and tomfoolery. You see, what they meant for ill towards you, it turns out to be good for you, right? That's an old saying for, we heard this all the time in the church, right? And this has been a principle that's been in play for many years before the Bible, many millennia. So I'm watching him. And then I'm watching other people's reactions to him. See, sometimes we create chaos, and then that chaos doesn't bring us peace because our motivations aren't all the way right. Perfect point. All that stuff that happened to me last week, Saturday, I could go back to this cause and this cause if I hadn't even gotten into spirituality, and if I hadn't even gotten into metaphysics, and if I hadn't even gotten into shamanism and all that stuff, and I wouldn't have been going to the metaphysical store, and I wouldn't have been. I mean, I could roll it all the way back. I could roll it back and keep rolling it back and find out how everything that happened, every cause, what the effect was. I could take every effect and take it back to the cause. But there's never been a moment, at least I did not want to create ill for myself. And my baseline is not to try to hurt, or my baseline also isn't jealousy of other people. My baseline isn't I'm just going to not believe you. My baseline isn't clout chasing. My baseline isn't greed. My baseline, that's not my baseline. My baseline is I want to help. Now, if y'all are wondering what this is over here, okay, what that is right there, that is a QR code if you're watching me on your TV or whatnot. And now if you're watching me on YouTube, there is in the description box, there is going to be a link where you can book a 30-minute consultation with me if you wish to either create or expand your current business. That being like a coaching, healing, teaching, mentorship, or if you're just creating online courses, online ebooks, things like that are helping people to transform, then I want you to go to that. I don't typically do physical businesses. In other words, like bookstores and stuff like that's not my thing. My thing is really online businesses and then having some live events. So I want you to go there, take that QR code, take a moment, and book a 30-minute call with me. It's free for business owners only. If you want a reading by me in the YouTube, there is links to the readings. Okay, that's how you book a reading. So don't book this if you want a reading from me. If you want a reading, that's down there. Now, let's take this, let's take it for what it's worth. Hey, Millennial Soul Food. How are you, beloved? I ain't been called pastor in a while. So let's get back to the message. If you have ill intent towards people, or if jealousy resides in your heart, or you want to get a leg up on someone and be controversial just for the point of being controversial, if what you're doing, you don't have the greater good in mind, and it's for the greater greed of yourself, then you can put your hand to the plow and you will get some temporary growth. You'll get some temporary harvest. But what is happening is the causes you are sowing, the seeds you are sowing, the natural effect of which is going to be what? Negative. You're not going to reap a good, bountiful, continual harvest if you're always sowing seeds of discord, dis-ease, distaste, and disgust. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. So when things like this that feel chaotic, or that are a massive ripple in the timeline, and it is a series of chaos that's happening, a car accident. How many of y'all been in a car accident? Hey, TB, how you doing? How many of y'all been in a car accident? If you've ever been in a car accident, you know how chaotic that moment is. I mean, honestly, guys, even now I can drive. It's but I also, like, I'm in the car with my daughter, and I'm like, girl, you need to hurry up through this left-hand turn, baby, because there's oncoming traffic, and all I can see is this oncoming traffic coming on to me. And I'm in the passenger side. I don't normally feel like that. That ain't how I roll. I don't like that. But let me tell you something else. I also hadn't been in a car accident since the early 2000s. I think I told you it's been 18 years, I think 18, 19 years. You did, Yasmin? I listen, I believe you did. Lenise, October 2020. It's not cool. Now, if I was a nasty, rotten, disgusting person and I didn't have good intention, okay, here we go. Now, the other driver I told you was a Lyft driver, right? Do you know? And the man's older. I'm not gonna put his name out here. He's an older immigrant. Do you know that man lied to his personal insurance company? Didn't tell them he was doing a ride share. Didn't tell them none of that. Didn't tell him he was driving for Lyft. Didn't tell him none of that. Not a one. So when they talk to me, because listen, I'm not trying to be funky. I'm not trying to do nothing to y'all. I'm not trying to take nothing. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay? Telling you the honest guy, here go the truth. Nothing but the truth. So now it's Wednesday, and I'm wondering, well, why is it taking so long for Geico to call me? Because I ain't filing no, I did file a claim, but I took my claim back. Listen, I'm not fixing to file no claim. Now with my insurance company, no, ma'am, no, sir. You, according to the police officer, you was at fault, so you finna pay. So he lied to them. Now they were about to put his car, they had already put his car in the shop. The adjusters on Wednesday finally get to me. They said, yeah, we finally just got all your information from him. So he was going to wait until his car was getting fixed. And then And then he gave them my information. So here I, and I'm telling them what happened. They were like, "What?" So I talked to another adjuster. Then I tell the other adjuster, "Well, how did you know it was Lyft?" I said, "Because I gave the lady $25 so she could go and get his passenger because she didn't have any more money to get another Lyft. So I gave her the money to get a Lyft, another one to get another ride to get home." And I saw a little thing in his dash. So they stopped the whole thing. The adjuster said, "Ma'am, thank you. You probably just saved him from getting sued by us for insurance fraud. So you have to go through Lyft, and I don't know that you can even go through Lyft yourself." Like he didn't think I could put my own claim in. And I thought that was really uh so that was Wednesday. He said, but like now I got to deal with Lyft because they're not going to cover it. So then I found a way to file with Lyft and whatnot. But my point is this: so now what's going to happen to this man because he wasn't upfront and honest? Geico's going to drop him. Lyft probably may not ever let him drive for them again. He's probably not going to be able to drive a Lyft or an Uber, which, considering the fact that he ran through the stop sign, maybe it's not a bad idea. But he's going to have to do something like a DoorDash or an Instacart or something like that. You can't sit here and have towards an ill intent and expect to get good results. It may seem like you're going to get, and you may get a few good results, but you're not going to continue to get it. And let me tell you something else, what I found out about people that are just sowing disgust, discord, and disease, being rather dishonest, at least not fully honest. Like, when you're sowing this kind of stuff amongst the people or just amongst a smaller group of people, whatever, if this is how you live and you're just living based on, this level of greed, not only does nothing good come of you, but the same thing that you sow and you want to put off on others comes back to you. What gets me the most is how people say that they're seeking peace and yet they cause discord in every area of anybody's life. And nothing is ever their fault. They never take any accountability for it. Everybody's always after them. They're always a victim. Everybody's always persecuting them. Blah, 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 blah. At some point, the common denominator is you, boo. At some point. Now, my very dear friend who just went through this really public, like, cancellation of a show, all this stuff, my very dear friend that just went through all of this, some people would say, "Oh, well, he doesn't take responsibility." You don't listen to him then. Like, you have to start listening to what people are saying and not just going by what everybody else says. I'm going somewhere with this. I have had many jackets put on me. I've had many things said about me. I have been many accusations or whatever. But you know why I come through every last one of them? Because I have a pure heart and a pure desire. My intentions are pure. Part of a pure intention can be being a successful business owner. There's nothing wrong with that. But my business is the business for helping people. That's my business. And I take accountability. There was a time over a year ago now where I had people that were working for me that I thought were doing what I wanted them to do. I thought they were focusing. I thought they were doing what I had intended for them to do, and they weren't. I can't sit here though and put all the blame on them. Some of the effects of what I caused was not having myself involved enough. A and B, I would be a horrible leader if I didn't say the buck stops with me. Right? Like I'm ultimately responsible. So part of this chaos that ends up getting, and you, if you're a disruptor, like, in any industry, whatever industry you're in, if you're the person that like plows forward and moves ahead and does all this great stuff, if you're a disruptor, you're going to create chaos, and that's okay. If you're a creative person, you're going to create chaos, and that's okay, because that's what we're here for. But out of that chaos, if you're creating out of an honest heart, right, with pure intentions, at the end of it all, it's going to be peace. So I have to look at everything that happens in my life. And if I, and that's why good things happen even out of bad situations. Car accident, ER visit, x-ray, finding out calcification in the aorta. That's reversible. I never would have known that. But if you're sowing discord, and I look at a lot of things that are happening in the world right now, and when I get back later on, after I get a couple things done, I'm getting ready to go to the movies with my daughter. I am going to go on and talk about biblical, because I don't know how many of you guys know that that Iran launched an attack on Israel. This is just a mess. So I do want to go over some biblical prophetic situation, and I want to talk about that quite a bit tonight. So bust your Bibles out. And no, we're not going to be sitting in Revelation. I'm going to need y'all to get your Old Testament out. Your Old Testament, because that's where the real prophecy sit at. Not over there in Revelation. That's a whole nother story. So we're going to talk about that tonight, child. But anyway, I see people creating more chaos in their lives and then wanting to be the victim. You can't be out here dogging people out. You can't be out here creating a business and not being real about your business. In other words, and not having good intentions, and you're only doing this for greed. If you only want to be, let's say, a Reiki healer or a tarot reader or an astrologer, just so you can have a huge YouTube channel and get a whole lot of money and have people spend a whole lot of money on with you, then that you're not. You'll be successful for a minute, but then you'll die off, because it's going to get out that you ain't giving real readings. It's going to get out that you full of crap. It's going to get out that you ain't true. People are going to be like, oh, they only reading just for a couple dollars. If that's your business and that's your company and that's your purpose, and you're doing it from a true place, you will have a long and sustained career. But if you do anything just for the money, the effect short term is going to be money. Long term is going to be tragedy. Long term is going to be I'm not comfortable. Long term is going to be I'm not fulfilled. Long term is going to be I am unhappy. Long term is going to be the very people that were around you while you had your money is going to walk away from you because you ain't got a dime no more. Long term is the very people you're going to find that the very people stick around you. They really ain't your friend. They was only there for the money and the power and the fame. Do you understand what I'm saying? So be very careful. And I guess part of this is to some of my fellow content creators. Be very careful when you're coming out here hollering about who's lying and who this and who that. Be very careful. I want you to be very careful, even in your own, in your own life. We can't keep ascribing, ulterior negative motivations to everybody for things that happen in our lives. What do we do to get the effect? How do we? You got to look at partially how you may or may not have had a role in it. The reason why that, and I'm not saying blame yourself at all, but if I don't look at my hand in something, I can't grow. Just like it takes two to tango, it takes two to tear it down. So if I made it my business to be on a regular tip, my business to constantly be self-reflective and introspective. What role, if any, did I have in this negative interaction? And years ago, at first, I could tell you I'd find a whole lot. Lady, you was a nasty woman right there. I would have yelled at you too. It ain't had nothing to do with your color or your nothing, and everything to do with who you is. Hold on. You ready? I'm on live. I'm finna get off right now. Okay, we're gonna get dressed in. Well, I want to leave a little earlier so we can get food. Okay, okay, bye. So anyway, she's like, "You ain't respond. I wanted to be sure you was okay, girl. I'm there. I'm doing things." Anyway, some we want to ascribe some things sometimes to race or gender or this or that, or they just a nasty boss. Maybe you was a nasty employee. We gotta look at it now after doing all the self work. Right now, now it's easier for me to say, okay, listen, this is no, 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 check, 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 because I've done a lot of self work. So if I'm approaching it from a peaceful standpoint, then I know that I should be getting right a peaceful outcome. All right, I could probably go on and on, but we are going to go on. Hey, Shakima, how you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you. We're gonna go on and on. I'm glad that y'all are thinking, I want that. Yes, daughters and mamas. I love my baby. Okay, guys. So a little bit later on tonight, I'm probably gonna make the thumbnail in short time because ain't no House of the Dragon. It's over. Ain't no House of the Dragon tonight, y'all. So I'm gonna come on a little bit later on, and we're going to discuss biblical prophecy, what we're seeing, because you all probably don't know. I have to go back 2, 3 weeks. I got to go back all the way back to July the 15th to find some other things that have been happening biblically that are little hints and little this and little that. So I need y'all to get y'all Old Testament. So if any of you all are the Jewish religion or Hebraically inclined, we're gonna be using the Tanakh, not just the Torah. The Torah is the first 5 books. That's the law. We're going to be using the Tanakh, which is the entirety of what we Christians would call the Old Testament. So I'm going to get us back to Ezekiel 38, 39. We're going to go into a little bit of Joel. We're going to go a little into Jeremiah. We got some things to talk about and I want y'all to see what's happening on the world stage. And there are some things that we need to be paying attention to, like while all this tomfoolery with this election mess and all of this is happening here, we also need to be paying attention to what's going on the world stage because baby, they acting a fool. They just acting up. Acting. And I'm not going to say that we can stop certain things, but I'm also not going to say that we can't hold certain things back. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's probably going to be, I think this movie is about 2 hours. I'm probably going to come back about 7 o'clock Eastern. I think that'll give me enough time and that'll be early enough. It'll be 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern. So be on the lookout. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you have subscribed, please consider hitting the bell so that you would get the notifications about when I get back on here. And then when I post this, I don't know how it works on X, but I'll post it on X too. I see I have some X watchers. Um, and then I want y'all to tell y'all friends as soon as I post this, and I'll give y'all a couple hours notice, okay? And what's going on with the weather? Okay, we'll talk about the weather. I think some of that has to do with CERN. Y'all had a tornado in Buffalo. Some of that has to do with CERN, but you know they've been messing with the weather for a long time. They've been messing with the weather for a long. Teresa got her a new Bible. It is going to be interesting. It's been a while since I really dug into. I've done it every once in a while on this channel, but I do like to dig into biblical prophecy. That was my thing. Okay, okay. Yeah, so they've been playing with that for a minute. I was just watching some stuff and doing some research on what the hell's going on over there with the CERN. They just keep meddling. They really need to leave it alone. But they're not going to. So we really need to talk about what this really means. And as I'm thinking and as I'm meditating on what's going on with CERN as well, I can tell you too, to me, what I feel like is also happening is, you know how in Revelation and things, even in Ezekiel, even in some of the Old Testament, but you know how the visions and things happen, and we understand that that's all interdimensional. But what I think is happening with CERN is, you know how some of the appearances of, certain angels doing this, or certain hosts of heaven, or certain hosts of hell, I feel like they're ripping into the dimensional fabric. And because they're ripping into the dimensional fabric, that's how other entities are able to they've thinned the veil in so many levels. So, but that's a metaphysical take on biblical stuff, and I hope y'all are ready for it. Okay, we're gonna get on out here. Again, don't forget, this one. You want to start a business, spiritual business, coaching, that sort of thing, teaching, even online business. Scan that QR code, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys, we're going to get on out of here. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys. Namaste.